Hey everyone, I'm Knight, and welcome to the Doom Dungeon Master series where I discuss the previous session of Dungeon Nytes and give you my takeaways about what it's like to be a noob DM. This week was our 4th session and my 6th total time playing D&D, and I still need a haircut. What's going on, everyone? So, this week on Dungeon Nytes, the first thing I'm going to do is tell you, if you haven't watched this, spoiler warning, and you need to go and watch it. I'll post it up there somewhere. Go now. Next thing I'm going to do is tell you, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the content and hit the notification bell, because I will love your face and you will see mine even more. Win-win. So this week on Dungeon Nytes, our crew continued clearing Tressender Manor. And they cleared the whole thing. They pulled no punches. They went the right way. They went the right way to clear the rest of the dungeon. They rescued Myrna and her 2 kids. They found Thel's body. They did all the things that you could do. They even managed to capture Glassstaff, who did not put up much of a fight at all. That said, every week I'm trying to do something a little bit better than the week before, and this week I tried to enhance my player's experience through music. So I got a subscription to Epidemic Sound, which has a vast catalog of music that you can use, and you can link your accounts and do that stuff. Not sponsored, anything, just telling you what I'm using. And it was still really hard for me to pick music to fit a situation. My goal was literally just to add music to fights. I figured if I was going to add music, I need to start small. I need to pick something that I could easily incorporate. What easier way to incorporate it than to pick a fight track and just have that play every time that there's fights? Well, when you're playing online, there's a few things that you have to remember about how to do that. And no, this is not going to turn into a tutorial video on how to set up your party audio using only Discord and a music player while also having a Zoom chat with your party, because that's probably another video that I could make for you. However, that's what we did. Took a bit to set up. And do I think it was worth it? Yeah, I mean, going back and listening to the audio form of the show and going back and watching the VOD, while the music wasn't, amazing, it certainly added value to the experience, which is why I think so many people use music. Moving forward, my goal is to slowly find pieces of music that I can incorporate into different scenes and different sessions and continue to do that a little bit more each time. That said, oh man, there were a number of times where I just plain messed up this week. And it's funny when you feel like you're getting the hang of things, and then the next thing you know, you come across a moment where your players are like, what about that thing? And I'm like, I have no answer. Either because I'm not prepared or because I just wasn't thinking to prepare something like that. It could even happen with something as small as loot. For instance, we went and cleared out an area of the Tressender Manor, where it was Glassstaff's like workshop, and he has been working on all these alchemical things, and there were 3 specific potions, chemicals, whatever you want to call them, that were sitting at the end of the table that, reading the module, you just assume are loot. They're just loot. Hey, they're worth 25 gold pieces a piece. They're loot. Well, my group, being the wonderful RPers they are, were like, what do you use these for? I don't know. I was just trying to get better at my craft. I don't know. Like, it was literally one of those, and they kept like pushing the issue. What were you doing in here? What were you brewing? Why are you brewing it? And I'm like, look, man, I'm just a wizard who's trying to be a better wizard. And so I was making stuff. The funny part about all of that was that I finally just had to give them the hint. I'm like, look, it's just loot. I basically almost told them, like, in DM voice, guys, it's just loot. And I guess that's okay. But it was another one of those points where I felt like I want to have everything prepared. I want it to be smooth. I want it to be polished. I want to be able to tell them, hey, if you get this thing, then it does this and it's used for this. And it's another one of those aspects where, just being new to the game, being new to all of D&D, never having experienced any of this before, you really can easily feel like you're getting fumbled up or mixed up, not knowing some of the back things or how certain things are used for spells or potions or whatnot. The other thing that I felt like I got hung up on this week was honestly the RP of some of the characters. To be fair, I felt like I excelled at some and then struggled with others. And I guess that's going to be normal for a session. But when you're me and I'm striving to be perfect and knowing that I'm new, I give myself lots of leeway, but there's still so much more that I felt like I could have done. Like, for instance, Glassstaff. I read through the module. I read how his mannerisms were. I read what his demeanor was. I even read what he was supposed to know. But when we were in the session, that just kind of went straight out of my head. And I'm sitting there having to pull the paper module, which I have in front of me, and I'm like reading, and I'm like, what's he supposed to know again? What's he supposed to do again? I don't know why I blanked on him, but I did. And I don't know if it was just the whole situation or me being like, it's a big bad. You need to play him up. He needs to be this kind of way. And I just felt like I kind of choked on it a little bit. That said, my players didn't seem to notice and or mind. They still did a really good job of interrogating him. I was able to give them the information they needed from him. And ultimately, it turned out okay. So the moral of the story of that piece is ultimately it can turn out okay. I definitely had to rely more on my improv skills that I wanted to. But hey, yay for improv. But it was still something where I really wish that I would have felt more comfortable role-playing the bad guy. So I think in the future, one of the takeaways I have is maybe trying to look more ahead at the villains or the kind of big bads and see if I can process more what their motivations are and process more what they might be like, what their mannerisms might be like, instead of just kind of giving me the de facto baddie, giving me the actual, hey, like this guy, Iarno, I made up on the fly. I was like, well, he just has a thirst for power, right? He betrayed the Lord's Alliance. He was courted by people in the Lord's Alliance, which was kind of half in the module and kind of something I had to play up a little bit. But then I also made him kind of a jerk. But then I also kind of made him remorseful. And I don't know how consistent that is. Like, I feel this need as me to make convincing, compelling characters. And so when I was playing Iarno, I was like, all right, well, he's this guy that was part of the Lord's Alliance, so he had to have been good at some point. Maybe just a little overindulgent as himself. And again, this is all stuff that's like happening in the moment, and I'm like freaking out going, ah! But he had to have some point been inherently good, and he just went bad. Well, what's going to make him go bad? Well, he was tired of trying to trudge through the Lord's Alliance to get power. So he, was approached by the Black Spider. He kind of fell for the, hey, yes, you can be more powerful. You can acquire this, that, and the other, and decided that he was going to take a little bit more of a harsh path and be more self-serving. And that was ultimately it. So he turns out to be this guy that still valued his friendship with Sildar to a point, still realized that he was a disappointment to himself because he got caught, and was kind of remorseful for that, but at the same time had just committed a lot of bad deeds. So I didn't want to let him off the hook and give him this whole like, well, you caught me, now I'm a good guy again thing, but more of just like a, yeah, I know you're disappointed, but it is what it is. And while I don't think that that's a bad route to go, I also think that there's a certain time and place where I need to realize that a bad guy can just be a bad guy. And I don't have to over RP stuff to make him compelling or to make us feel a certain way for him if he's really just a bad guy. Iarno turned his back on people. He betrayed people. Do I think that he genuinely might have some remorse at some point? Yeah, because he betrayed somebody who sounded like he was a friend for a long time in Sildar. But is that going to ultimately be enough to make him care about the fact that he was enslaving people, basically running up a town, stealing from shop owners, making people think he was dead, working for the Black Spider, trying to further his own means? I don't feel like there's necessarily, maybe I should have just played him more as a straight dick. It's probably the last we're going to hear from Iarno, so it's not exactly like it's a big deal, but in the moment, and I guess as a reflective thing, I think that's something that I want to take more into account. Also on the RP side, I had to explore something this time that was very new for me still. Again, all this is kind of new, but like this was really new. The character of Myrna, who is the wife of the woodworker Thel, who was captured and killed by the Red Brands, and then the family was abducted, so her and her two children were abducted. That was something that is an RP I think I can ultimately be proud of, but was something that was also completely organic, something that was completely in the moment, and something that I feel like I owe a lot to my players for making such a special moment. When we found these characters in the slave pen area of the manor, my characters were already, my players were already talking about how, hey, maybe we need to handle them a little bit differently. Maybe we need to handle them with kid gloves. Hey, maybe the half orc and the dark brooding ranger guy need to maybe take a back seat when going in and trying to talk to these people. And it was fun to role play that in the moment, because I kind of did this thing where the half orc and the ranger were the first two people in the room. And the first thing that I thought is, okay, well, you see two big scary people coming in and you've been abused by these people for the past couple days. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to recoil in fear and not believe that they're there to help you. You're going to be like, no, get away, get away, get away. And so ultimately, it then fell on two of the charismatic characters that were a bit more tender, compassionate, as more of part of like their being them, to persuade these people that they were actually there to help them and to let them help them. And it turned into this really kind of endearing moment. But at the same time, they're like, hey, what happened to dad? What happened to my husband? And there was a really cool moment where our bard, Bamir, kind of said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and message you, the wife, that your husband died, to kind of be able to let her privately take that in before having to let the kids hear that, so that she could kind of grieve before having to grieve with the kids. And I thought that that was an interesting move. One, because again, it shows how, at what a level my players are thinking of, right? The our half orc Godoruk was trying to offer them food. Our ranger was also trying to offer them food. Like, hey, maybe they need something to eat. Maybe they need some extra care. Hey, we even Leif at one point was like, hey, I need to run back and put cloaks outside the door so that they can have them and they can be safe from the trap that's in the next room. So there was a lot of thought that they put into taking care of these people now that they had actually rescued them. And it was a really fun scene to play out for me because of how much effort they put into it. And then all of that kind of transpiring and the amount of compassion they showed for these people led me to have this moment where I said, okay, well, we've looted the whole place. We've come back. We've collected Myrna and Nars and Nilsa, her two kids, and you've collected the body of Thel, and we've gone out to the front of the manor now where we found a cart, and you placed Thel's body on the cart wrapped. And then as his family comes out and sees his body on the cart, I was like, well, they're not just going to like take it that like, oh, there's dad, right? And I felt compelled to have this additional moment where the kids were able to now see that their father had passed and that that was their father's body, and have this initial moment of grief. And it was a really powerful moment for me that I was not expecting. I actually almost welled up at one point and I had to catch myself because of how intense those feelings were, being a father myself, having to think about what it would be like for your kids to see their father dead and what you would say. And it was very emotional and intimate and raw. And it was one of those points where it really shows me how much I love the RP aspect of D&D, more so than I like a lot of things. And we kind of joked this session too about how kind of graphic I am with combat. Well, it's because I want you guys to feel like you're doing something. You know, we had a really cool fight where there was an exchange of blows where basically somebody like grabbed and grappled, or Godoric, our orc, grabbed a guy, pulled him out of the way so people could get into the next room where there were more enemies. But at the same time, our druid is in a wolf wild shape form and comes and grabs him on the shoulder and pulls him down. And then the bard kind of takes the sword out and finishes him off. And it was just like bam, 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 that really cool kind of moment. And when you take the time to add those elements, I feel like it just adds to the whole RP and the experience. I mean, combat could just be a series of dice rolls. Yeah, you hit and he's dead. Or you can make it interesting. You can make it a joy to be in combat to a certain extent, if that's the right word. It's probably not. Probably a better word for that. But we're going to say that it's a joy to be in combat. Fun. Fun to be in combat. But then you have that juxtaposed against this grief session, and then this group kind of carrying this fallen member of the town to the town, and the townspeople seeing this. And not only that, but we had previously RP'd Harbin, the townmaster, as someone that kind of recognizes his own faults in the fact that he has not dealt with the Red Brands correctly. And he has to process all of this in front of the town. And part of me was like, I kind of backed myself into a corner where I'm like, maybe I need to resign as townmaster as Harbin, because he's just kind of overcome with shame at the fact that he wasn't able to deal with this threat. And now he's got, fell on a cart in front of everybody. But ultimately, what ended up happening was, again, my players encouraged him to be better and encouraged him to step up and to do those types of things. And again, just the level of RP and the level of which that is there has been so helpful to me as the DM to continue to elevate that level of play and to elevate the game. So it's been really cool. It's been really cool. So what are the takeaways here? One, I can always be more prepared, and I need to take more care in preparing my villains, my big bads, so that payoffs are good, but also do a better job of preparing loot, because hot damn, loot is a thing that I need to understand better. And two, while there are certain times where it might be easy to kind of make things a little less intense, I think that based on feedback from my players, leaning into moments that can be more heartfelt are what make the experience more believable. Not being afraid to take the time to have NPCs experience things that they should be experiencing is not something that I should be scared of taking away from the players, but something that I realize is enhancing their experience. I was a little afraid after we went through all of the things that we did, especially that last moment, that maybe it was too much. Again, maybe I was doing too much as a DM, and maybe I wasn't letting my players do enough. And ultimately, the feedback I got was from the players was like, no, thumbs up, good moment, don't be afraid to take the moment. Cat. Trying to feel like we always have to overdo the RP is something that I need to just be mindful of. Not that I feel like I've gone too far, but that I don't go too far, and that we continue to move things along. And I think that that's good. So, hope you guys enjoyed this Noob Dungeon Master vlog. If you've been enjoying Dungeon Nytes, please make sure that you are subscribing to the YouTube, hitting that notification button, and dropping a like on the video, and leaving a comment telling me what was your favorite thing about the episode, or how do you handle these things as DMs. Both things that I would like to know. Also, we have committed to a set schedule now. Dungeon Nytes, the stream will be re-airing on YouTube on Mondays, and now all of these DM vlogs you can expect on Wednesdays. And if you guys didn't know already, check places like Spotify and Google Podcasts for your audio-only version of Dungeon Nytes. I'm uploading both the vlogs and the sessions there, so you can get all of this content in audio-only form on the go if that's your preference. That said, I'm also on Podchaser. If you guys wouldn't mind dropping us a review, I would really, really appreciate it. But that's all for today and for this vlog. So I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. I will catch you guys next time. Bye-byes.